cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss. And today I'm happy to bring you issue number 117 in the series, Wonder Girl. And this, of course, is the Cassie Sandsmark version of Wonder Girl, the second Wonder Girl in DCU. The first, of course, was Donna Troy, before she eventually relinquished the title, moving on to bigger and better things, and that's about the time that Cassie came onto the scene. Emulating and idolizing Wonder Woman, she eventually became her new protege, the new Wonder Girl. If you're familiar with this character, well, chances are you've probably seen her on her very few appearances outside of the comic book realm, one of which being on the short-lived animated series Young Justice, which used to air on Cartoon Network as part of its DC block of animation, which now consists only of Teen Titans Go. But it was a great appearance by Cassie. She was part of the Young Justice beta team, as it was revealed, and she made a few appearances on that show. She has also more recently appeared in the video game world as part of the new Lego Batman 3 video game, where she is a playable character. You can find her, unlock her, and boom, she's playable. And I want to point out that this game just came out in 2014, prior to Christmas, and you'll notice that Wonder Girl is wearing her classic costume, or at least I think what is considered to be her classic costume, as opposed to this issue of the figure where they decided to start pushing the new 52 look for some of the characters, which I find odd, especially this late in the series, but we'll get to that eventually, because first, for those of you who are unaware of Wonder Girl, that of course is why we will look at the magazine, which will tell you everything you need to know about Cassandra Sandsmark and how she became Wonder Woman's latest protege, and then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, you guys can probably tell where this one's going. If not, and even if you can, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy issue number 117 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Wonder Girl. First up, the character section. Where we're introduced to Cassie Sandsmark, a tomboyish teenage girl who lived with her single mother, Helena, in Gateway City. The pair spent a lot of time in the Museum of Cultural Antiquities because her mother worked there as a world-renowned archaeologist. It was one day when they were both at the museum that Cassie met her idol, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman had come to Cassie's rescue after the teenager had accidentally started an ancient Greek automaton that began to attack the pair. However, it was Cassie's resourcefulness and quick thinking that actually ended up saving both she and Wonder Woman. A grateful Wonder Woman rewarded the teenager by allowing her to fly using the sandals of Hermes. Despite her mother's protests, Cassie continued to fight crime as Wonder Girl, and on one outing, the teenager found herself taking on the sister of the Gorgon Medusa, a villainess known as Decay. Decay proved to be a bit too much for Cassie to handle on her own, and she was ultimately aided by Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman at that point stripped Cassie of the items that she had acquired that gave her her powers. Shortly after this, Cassie was summoned to Mount Olympus, where she met Zeus, and the audacious teen actually asked the Greek god to give her powers of her own. Cassie soon used these newfound powers to take on the sorceress Morgane Le Fay, who had ensourced the heroic Merlin the Wizard. Herself fighting alongside other teenage superheroes in the DCU, and joined up with a team that called themselves Young Justice. While serving with the Young Justice, they found themselves fighting against another wizard who used a spell to turn the Young Justice heroes into adults, and the adult heroes on the Justice League into teenagers. Cassie proved that she was worthy to be Wonder Girl by helping to reverse the spell, and once again reunited with her teammates on Young Justice. After reluctantly agreeing to join the newest version of the Teen Titans, Cassie eventually looked to them as a second family. In an effort to further emulate Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl eventually acquired a lasso of her own that was given to her by the god of war, Ares. Unlike the lasso of truth, however, which compelled whomever was ensnared by it to confess the truth no matter what, Wonder Girl's new lasso had the power of Zeus's lightning contained within it, and Cassie could unleash that power at her whim. Soon after getting her lasso, she and the other Teen Titans were transported into the not-too-distant future, where they encountered future versions of themselves who had strayed from the path of being heroes. She also began to openly date her longtime teammate and secret crush, Connor Kent, also known as Superboy. When the United States government wrongly imprisoned Wonder Woman, a war with the Amazons was accidentally triggered. After bringing down Air Force One and attacking the President of the United States, it was Wonder Girl and Supergirl who came to his aid and protected him from the Amazons, who were hell-bent on destroying him. Eventually, the war was stopped and Wonder Woman was released, and then the Furies from Apokolips came to try and kidnap Wonder Girl to take her back to their lord and master, Darkseid. Cassie continued fighting alongside her teammates on the Teen Titans, only to discover that the more she used Ares' power, the more she became his acolyte. After realizing he would never possess Wonder Girl, Ares turned his attention to a new acolyte, a man named Lycus. Wonder Girl stood toe-to-toe against Lycus and eventually won the battle, utilizing powers that even she didn't know she had. When the Blackest Night descended upon the Earth, Wonder Woman and the original Wonder Girl Donna Troy were both converted into Black Lantern zombies. The Black Lantern Wonder Woman eventually beat Cassie in the fight and ripped her heart from her chest. This, however, proved to be an illusion by the Greek goddess Aphrodite, who was merely distracting both Donna Troy and Wonder Woman from the true fight. Cassie was single-handedly taking on her recently resurrected boyfriend Connor Kent, now a Black Lantern Superboy. Realizing the true power of the Black Lantern was in the ring that he wore, she ripped the ring from Connor's finger, froze it in a block of ice, and then flung it into deep space, breaking the spell that it had on Connor and freeing him to help fight against the other Black Lanterns on Earth. Soon after this, Flashpoint happened, rebooting the DC universe into the New 52, and Cassie Sandsmark became a whole new version of Wonder Girl. In this New 52, Cassie Sandsmark is a superpowered thief that the press has dubbed Wonder Girl, an epitaph that she hates. Next, we'll look at a couple of Wonder Girl's classic stories. First, we'll look at Young Justice, issues 4 and 5. And this two-part story introduces Cassie to Young Justice, and she eventually joins the team, which at the time was made up of the only female on the team, known as Secret, Superboy Connor Kent, the third Robin Tim Drake, and the Flash's grandson, Impulse. Together, this new team has to take on a villain known as Harm, who is trying to assassinate the Pope. It's a great starting point for fans of Wonder Girl if they want to learn more about her backstory and where she came from, and it also introduces Arrowette to the team of Young Justice. We also look at Teen Titans Spotlight, Wonder Girl. This story was originally published as a 6-part miniseries and was Cassie's first solo title as Wonder Girl. In it, she is trying to undo the damage that the Amazons had done to the United States after their attempt at war, when suddenly they're attacked by Darkseid's evil female Furies. An action-packed story that further develops Cassie's character as Wonder Girl and sees her teaming up with not just Hercules, but also her friends on the Teen Titans, as well as her friend and mentor, Wonder Woman. Wonder Girl's Friends and Foes section features her teammates on both Young Justice and the Teen Titans, her boyfriend, Connor Kent, also known as Superboy, and her heroic idol, Wonder Woman. Finally, the iconography section looks at some of the other gifts from the gods that have been bestowed upon mortals in the DCU. It, of course, begins with Wonder Woman and talks more about both the lasso of truth as well as the girdle of Gaia. The son of Vulcan, also known as Johnny Man, a soldier who was maimed in the Korean War but whose valor so impressed the Greek gods that they transported him to Olympus and gave him special equipment to fight in their name. Genocide, a horrific homunculus created by the secret society of supervillains using a combination of black magic and science. The hero known simply as the Olympian, who wears the golden fleece of legend which gives him his powers. Prospector from 19th century Earth named Gerald Bard, who stumbled upon Thor's magic hammer, Mjolnir. And lastly, the being known as the Spectre, who is God's wrath given physical form on Earth. And here we have Wonder Girl, also known as Cassie Sandsmark, and a great character. I like Cassie a lot in the comic books. Very rarely do I dislike her. There was a time after they killed Connor when she got all whiny. I didn't care for that very much, but most of the time, really dig Wonder Girl here. I'm just not crazy about this figure. I'm pretty disappointed, actually. There's not a whole lot going on here as far as sculpting is concerned. The paint is kind of sloppy, and I don't feel they captured the costume very well. I think they tried. You can see they sort of tried to get the stars in there, very similar to what they did with Donna Troy and her starry outfit, but it was pulled off much better with Donna. She's just very plain. It feels almost lazy to me, and I don't know why they chose the new 52 version of the costume, which had only been around for a couple of months at this point, a few months maybe, when her other outfit, the red t-shirt, the blue jeans, is so much more iconic and so more familiar to everyone. Yeah, I don't know. For those of you who've seen my review of Raven, I apologize. I think I apologized a while ago about her, but let me do it again. Way too hard on that figure. There you go, especially compared to Cassie here. I have a newfound appreciation for Raven. Yeah. I mean, that's not to say Cassie's all bad. There are some things I do like. And of course, I'll touch upon those things, along with all my disappointing things, in the next section in just a moment. Wonder Girl stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of the base features her name and serial number. And so you can compare, here she is next to her boyfriend, Superboy, alongside the original Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, with her mentor, the one and only Wonder Woman, and finally in a group shot with all of the other members of the Teen Titans that have been released by Eaglemoss so far. Wonder Girl, the Cassie Sandsmark version, is a pretty underwhelming figure for me. There is not a lot that I like about this figure, and this is going to be one of the rare instances in this series where the bad actually outweighs, for me, the good. Nevertheless, we'll begin with the good. I do like the pose on the figure. It reminds me of something Wonder Woman would do with the crossing of the bracelets. I also like the size of the figure. She's petite and looks like she would be a teenager. I also like some of the detailing and some of the paintwork on this figure, but not a whole lot, unfortunately. And also some of the sculpting. Starting at the base, you can see that her feet are nicely done and the costume starts out okay. I also like the bracers around her shins, or the shin guards, I suppose. They're a nice glossy metallic gold, and around the back you can see the actual cutouts on the back of them where they strap together. You can see the red of her costume underneath, which I think is a nice detail. You'll also notice that the lasso is incorporated into the paint job. It's wrapping around her leg. It's that pinkish color, and it's painted well. It has some detailing there. It is all done with paint though, which is also one of my criticisms, which I'll mention in the next section, but it's nicely done for being painted on. You can see all of the different starry patterns throughout the costume, all the way up around the torso, with those patches, again, those patches of ruby red or reddish colors here and there. I do like that she's got the shoulder guard, and it is nicely sculpted. There's detailing there. Again, that same metallic metallic gold as her shin guards are, and then the lasso continues wrapping around her forearm, and now it's molded on there, which is one of the nice details on here. Both of her hands are molded into fists, which is okay. All the fingers are represented pretty nicely. I do like how they're posed. As I said before, it's a very classic look where she's using her bracelets to block bullets or something, and both the bracelets are again that metallic gold, and there is some sculpting, some detail work in there, which again I appreciate. Which brings us of course to the head sculpt. I will say this, she does not suffer from thick neck syndrome because they managed to put the collar on there, which is that same metallic gold paint job. I like the hood, it's pulled off pretty well. Again, that same black starry pattern mixed with that reddish pattern all the way around. The starry pattern again, it's just okay. I like her hair though. Her hair is nice. I like the color. It's just fine. And there's a great sculpt in there where it does look as though it is blowing around the way it's curled. It's natural. It flows like there's a wind picking up her hair. Other than that, I can't really say a whole lot about the head sculpt. Which brings us to the bad. Where do I begin? I'm not crazy about the skin tone. It's far too pale. The molding, the sculpting, the paintwork, it's all pretty poor. I find the paint to be sloppy in some areas, just as though they didn't care. They wanted to rush it out since the end of the line was coming. I don't know. The lasso on her body anyway, it's just painted on there. It's nicely painted. It's one of the positives I have, but it's not molded. It's not sculpted. It's not raised off of her body, which I really feel it should have been, especially since they have that on her forearm. I will say though, on her forearm, because her skin is so pale and that thing is so pink, it looks like she has some sort of lesions growing off of her skin, like it's some sort of deformity. It's kind of weird. The head sculpt is really bad. It doesn't look like Cassie at all to me. There's no playfulness about her. She looks way too stern, not to mention the fact that the profile is all wrong, and there's no sculpting going on here whatsoever. She has no definition anywhere. It's all painted on except for the nose, which is again bad. Her lips are just painted on. Her eyes are just painted on, and they're spaced way too widely apart, and not to mention the fact that her face is deformed. The one side of her face is bigger than the other. It's very, very poor. You have to really pose her at a certain angle for her to look okay. My biggest issue with this figure is the costume. Hands down the costume. You can see, I think what they were trying to do, as I mentioned before, with her next to Donna Troy here, how Donna has that pearlescence to the costume. It looks like a starry night sky. I really think they were trying to do that with Cassie here. It just doesn't work. And I don't like her. She's the worst out of the three Wonder Women in the series, and she looks out of place because the costume is the new 52 costume. I don't know why they didn't put her in her more iconic classic costume with the blue jeans and the red shirt. She looks out of place when you have her with Donna and Wonder Woman, not to mention the fact that when you have her with the Teen Titans, she sticks out like a sore thumb because she's the only one that isn't in her iconic costume. I leave you with this picture, which was a custom done by an artist out there of what she could have looked like. This is what I wanted right here. Finally, the ugly. Nothing really aside from the fact that she's I think an unattractive figure, at least mine is. She's a solid lead figure, nothing bendable or breakable. Overall, I am disappointed, very disappointed with Wonder Girl. It is not the Wonder Girl I wanted to be included in this line. For anyone who saw my review of Raven earlier in the series, I am so sorry. I've apologized once before, I've taken it back. I will do so right now again. Raven is so much nicer than this version of Wonder Girl. I have a whole new appreciation for Raven after this figure. Cassie here, this version of Wonder Girl, is the most disappointing figure in the line for me so far. I hope that changes. We don't have very many left. We'll see if it happens. She's just not what I wanted exactly. All that being said, it is nice to have her with Donna and Diana, Wonder Woman in the original Wonder Girl, and she completes the Wonder Woman characters in this. This is it. We just get the three of them. She's okay for what she is. If you like the new 52, you'll dig her, I think. And it is, again, very nice to have her alongside the other members of the Teen Titans, all of the versions of the Teen Titans. And she is only one of only two Teen Titans left. There is one more to come. So, you know, I don't really care for her. I got her because I'm a completionist. I really think that's the only reason to get her, unless you're a huge, huge fan of this interpretation of Wonder Girl. But I do hope you have been a huge fan of my review of this issue, number 117 in the series. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next figure to come. It is a villain, the final villain, regular villain in the series, and the final member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. He will close us out. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser of this very, very creepy villain. As always, I am your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.